Good evening and welcome to Lead Story here on CVM TV. My name is George Davis. In scenes that horrified the world last Saturday, Donald J. Trump, the man who has served one term already as U.S. President and who is seeking another, came within perhaps a half an inch or less than that of being killed on the campaign trail. A 20-year-old gunman took aim at Trump and didn't miss by much, grazing the former president's ear in what was clearly an assassination attempt. One man was killed, a firefighter killed, trying to protect his family, and two other people wounded in the exchange, in the incident in which the gunman ended up being neutralized by members of the Secret Service. It was, as I said, a horrifying episode, and it really caused people all around the world to think of the vulnerabilities of politicians in their own neck of the woods. As we see these images of defiant Trump had the state of mind and the sense of mind to milk the photo opportunity and the possibilities created by the attack on him to defiantly indicate to his supporters that he would not bow even in the face of danger and even in a situation where his life was in imminent danger. It causes me to reflect on the history of politics in Jamaica and to ask the question, is access to our political leaders too lax? Is it too easy for someone to get in close proximity to our prime minister, to our leader of the opposition, to senior members of the political class? Is that access too easy? And will the Trump incident, the attempted assassination of Donald Trump, cause us to change those arrangements, to make serious changes where that access is concerned? I remind you, viewers, that Jamaica, despite the violent nature of our political history, we don't have the legacy of violence against politicians that many countries have, including in the United States. But there have been incidents. I'll tell you about 1976, December 13 to be precise, when two politicians were shot and injured on the campaign trail effectively in Jamaica. Ferdinita, the PNP candidate for East Central St. Catherine, was shot in the side in Greendale, Spanish Town, St. Catherine, as he set up a facility for a speech later in the evening. And Colin Williamson, the JLP candidate for Western St. Andrew, shot and injured, and one of his supporters chopped with a machete by political rivals. That was 1976. Forward to 1980, and the incident that most people can name drop when you're asked to talk about political violence in Jamaica at its highest against politicians. Roy McGann, the Assistant Minister of National Security at the time and the man vying for the seat in East Rural St. Andrew, shot and killed in an exchange of gunfire with members of the police service. Special Corporal Errol White, a policeman, 24 years old, shot and killed in that incident. He died leaving a 23-year-old wife and two children. And fast forward to 2007, when the JLP candidate in the Rosetown division in the KSA-MC, Rosalie Hamilton, was shot in the chest by a gunman as she sat at her gate. Hamilton had been shot previously in 2005, shot 4 times in the head in an apparent robbery attempt against the taximan who was transporting her. But in 2007, she swears even to this day that she was shot by a political rival as she sat at her gate. That encapsulates the history of violence against politicians in Jamaica. And so, I say that to say, it's not a far-fetched idea to think what happened to Trump could happen to those who are representing or looking to represent constituents in an election in Jamaica. I'm turning this evening to the Minister of National Security, Dr. Horace Chang, for some perspective as to the safety of our politicians and whether the incident with Donald Trump gives cause for us to revisit those security arrangements. Dr. Chang, welcome to the program this evening. Good to have you.
Good afternoon, George. Good to be with you.
Excellent.
All right. The incident with Trump, yes, it constantly peculiar to the United States and the tension there. The reality is that while there has been significant political tension in Jamaican states, it has never deteriorated to the level where the kind of, not only rhetoric, but the use of violence has become almost intrinsic to the current campaign in the United States. We went through a bad phase in the 1980 election, indeed. But again, it was never directed at the leadership of the country. And it is fair to say that our leaders, both politically and institutionally have retained a level of respect among the wider community that has prevented a kind of personal attacks on individuals. But we have been examining this situation as it relates to personal security. Indeed, sometimes there's cause for almost resentment that ministers are driving with police officers when we need the police officer on the road. And in fact, we did pass the legislation. The cabinet policy was approved some 3 years back when we thought we'd, in fact, change the policy, a direction we may still go, but for a different reason, to ensure we create a protective services division in government, which would provide protective service to government ministers, judges, and a number of high officials, and allow the police to focus on criminal activity. Because there is a challenge when a police officer is asked to serve as a close protection officer for a minister or any other official for a long time, because they get used to them, they know the routine, and it becomes very much like a security guard for an individual. Now, they find their career a little bit timid, really, because
Yes.
you're not going to access promotion as easy as the man on the road fighting real crime. And they did a recommendation that we should reduce police protective service to Prime Minister, the Minister of National Security, the Governor General, who has a particular regime, and Chief Justice, President of the Court of Appeal, and then we engage protective service employees for the other sectors. What we'll have to examine, of course, is that if we go that route, which we can do now by engaging individuals and making them special district constables, but the Americans have a system of the Secret Service is responsible for protection of high officials.
Yes.
And that has been discussed. Maybe that's the route we should go in Jamaica, because it does become a little bit, it places the Minister of National Security in a peculiar position where I said officers have to be assigned to officials for protective work when the threat risk is certainly not that high in Jamaica.
But why is it not that high? The question then, and you say, it's not traditional that the holders of high office in the political space in Jamaica are targeted in the way that several U.S. presidents have been targeted and assassinated over time, a few of them, and even with Trump on Saturday. Why is it that we seem to accept that traditionally that threat has been low, so it will continue to be low?
No, it's not an acceptance. It's an ongoing monitoring. We do monitor the security force, any kind of emerging threat to office holders in the country. It may not be at that level yet or at this point in time, because Jamaica went into independence pretty quietly, but the leadership evolved from the society to the political parties, and institutional leadership officials negotiated with the colonial authority and maintained a certain level of pressure. The trade unions, many of which include the professional groupings, doctors, lawyers, teachers in particular, all, made the call for independence and formed a pretty cohesive group for independent Jamaica. So that I think the average Jamaicans will identify that leadership with its emergence of independence and the development of a Jamaican nation. Now, unless the economy improves, which hopefully you could find that mood start to change. Yeah,
but you would accept, though, Dr. Chang, that times are a-changing. And I, for one, as a journalist, have often wondered, why is it so easy to get access to these holders of high political office, especially at official events? I remember going to the swearing in of Mrs. Portia Simpson-Miller as Prime Minister at King's House. And apart from just looking at my ID cursorily, I was let through. There was no check of my person to see if I had any weapon. And I found myself in the room with her, so close to her. And I even from that point, I was saying, it shouldn't be so easy to be in such close proximity to the most important and senior politician in this space. And you know how people are easy to be led astray. People are easy to be inculcated these days more than any other time in the history of the world. And I'm wondering if this is not something we have to change, especially with what happened on Saturday.
Yeah, there's let's say the copycat activity can also is more established today because the social media transfer the images quite quickly across the globe. And even for a minute, a 30-second of fame, individual may seek to undertake this kind of activity of attacking someone in high office. The policy exists. We have not been applying it, but we will have to apply it first. I think we have to apply what we have established in a meaningful way. For example, we're not supposed to carry firearms into Parliament. And a number of parliamentarians have taken firearms into Parliament. Except for security officers, no firearms are supposed to be in Parliament at all. Going to Jamaica House, that's supposed to be the same policy. We have been applying it in the breach, so to speak. And I think we'll have to just apply those policies that we have established, but done in good faith.
Yeah. And
cleanly, and then examine if we need to do more.
Yeah. And what
you should not be allowed into a swearing in at Kingston by the Prime Minister with a firearm. Nobody should be except the certified security officers.
So here's the thing.
Those are things we should apply immediately.
Yeah, so here's the thing. We are assuming here that it's not that the would-be assassin came this close to killing Donald Trump because he is not the incumbent president of the United States. In other words, Joe Biden enjoys a higher level of security on the political campaign than Trump does. That's not the case. So, in the Jamaican context, what can you say to Jamaicans who are wondering if the same level of security afforded to Andrew Michael Holness in his capacity as Prime Minister is the same level of security afforded to, say, Mark Golding in his role as leader of the opposition?
No, Andrew gets the highest level of security among officials in the country. But we do have security assigned to lead the opposition, and we examine that need to be strengthened. In fact, we only spoke last night because one of his assigned vehicles is not in the best order. But that's purely coincidental. But we do assign security to the leader of the opposition and any former Minister of National Security. It is, I said, there are a number of things we have in policy which have been kind of applied in the breach. There's also the tradition, a well-established tradition that Jamaican politicians get close to their constituents. You walk your constituency, you go house to house, and you touch skin, as they say. You go into crowds quite enthusiastically to feel a part of the team.
Yes.
Some of this will continue, but I think we have to take more care in ensuring that there is no one with malintent in that grouping and how you operate in areas. You have quality security around you.
Yeah, hold the line for us, Dr. Chang.
Really involving the protective security team.
Yes.
I think we'll have to look carefully and start doing it in the very next budget.
Hear you on that. Hold the line for us, Dr. Chang. I have to take the break now. This is Lead Story here on CVM TV. Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of National Security, Dr. Horace Chang, is my guest.
Boy, the season fly off, you know. We're at the season finale already. You're a bright youth and you're down to earth. So it's almost like you're the perfect politician then. Minister of Education, Akif, you have a vibe, you know. About a good start.
New Gent Academy was founded in 2017.
Hold on. How old were you?
8 years old.
You said backlash, and Minister, you know a little bit about. That's a little bit, more than a little bit.
People are selling goats, say 6 months old. For, let me make a guess, how much you think?
30 or so.
Months at 30?
Yeah.
How much
I was going to say 25.
Okay, 250,000.
You sure?
I'm dead serious.
The Cut is brought to you by Flow and Guinness.
The time by Grace. Taste that moves you is
6:45.
talking about the safety of Jamaican politicians in light of the attempted assassination of Donald J. Trump in the United States last Saturday. And the National Security Minister and Deputy Prime Minister, Dr. Horace Chang, is with me. Dr. Chang, you mentioned in the first segment the fact that there are there's an apparatus that exists to protect political figures and senior members, senior office holders in society. So you say that to say that there's no need to create anything new, but it's just the stringent application of what the apparatus provides. Is that what you're saying?
Not quite. Yeah, I'm just saying that exists, and we have to apply what we have with more stringency. What we did, we have constantly the feasibility of putting in place a protective security service, because it's a growing number. The country is growing. It's not just policy you need to think of. The judiciary is in a different station today than we were 60 years ago when we were independent. We have had 3 gang cases and we have 19 online to try. Gang cases are quite different from individual cases, so to speak, and that creates, well, we have not seen necessarily serious increase in threat risk to our judiciary. We have to begin to monitor that kind of activity. High officials, a forensic was killed some time back. The 6th they are sent to record. So Gilby.
Yes, stabbed at Calabar Muse repeatedly. They haven't caught the killer to this day, yes.
Right. And we have, in fact, intercepted and cleaned up and, and intercepted extortion and attempts at extortion and construction site in the country. The government capital budget expanding. The federal government is on it once we have reduced our debt to GDP ratio. So there have been a lot of big construction activity going on, as well as private sector. So the need to, in fact, ensure that there's adequate security in this situation is certainly being examined, and has to be examined and appropriate
measures taken. Dr. Chang, you mentioned something again that I want to go back to, because you said that given the culture in which Jamaica practices its politics and in which people expect the politics to be practiced, you don't want to be in a position where politicians are seen to be in this heavily layered cocoon, almost like a mobile ivory tower, as they look to press flesh with those who they are seeking support from at the ballot box. But you have to balance that against the real issue of securing these people. And that's the challenge, I would suggest.
It's a major challenge, but I said so far, outside of that one election, the 76 to almost 78 to 82 period, the rhetoric of politics have still remained, while it can be quite sharp, had not been as personal and antagonistic as generates that level of violence against each other. And the culture is well established for us to move among the people very easily. As we have to look at how we build a security presence around them that will protect them going forward without, in fact, isolating them. Our democracy, I think, we don't speak of very often, but I think we have survived 8 years, approximately, of democratic elections, democracy. If you look at the globe, we're among the top 15 democracies in terms of the number of elections held on time and government changes. We have had a stage where we had a single party government, yet parliament, and then we had election right after, and it went back to the opposition won huge, 45.
The record of free and fair elections is commendable. I want to ask you this before the time ends.
It's more than commendable.
Yeah,
it's almost unique in a developing country with our kind of economic.
I would give you that. I want to ask you this before we go. Time is running out.
We don't want to damage that unnecessarily.
Yeah, the last one from me is this. I also have concerns, Dr. Chang, about when we have an occasion like the throne speech. You have the Governor General, you have the Prime Minister, you have the opposition leader, you have the leader of the President of the Senate.
Governance, leadership is all in one place.
Everybody in one building at one time. So I just want you to tell Jamaica if there are special security arrangements attending to an event such as the throne speech, given that so many important people are in one building all at the same time.
We and the chief of staff and the commissioner of police is also there. So security measures were usually quite tight at those occasions. We do take steps to ensure that the surrounding area is clean. security-wise, but I think we'll have to take a second look at that and ensure even more, effective administration and maybe widen the perimeter at the time. You're quite right. And we may have to do it for a 24-hour period because we do have the entire government sticker. The throne speech is not just the Prime Minister, leader of the opposition, the Governor General, the Chief Justice is there, head of JDF, the Security Force are there, both Chief of Staff and Commissioner, and pretty much the head of everything in the country.
Yeah, and I don't know the inner workings, but in my time as a parliamentary reporter and covering these things physically, it didn't look to me as if there was anything elaborate in terms of security. I didn't see helicopters flying overhead to spot anybody on any rooftop. So I would suggest to you that there is more than enough reason to significantly beef up security around this event.
No, the particular events of this sort we'll have to examine carefully. And I certainly have that discussion with the security chiefs because it does expose the country. That the threat risk to the country increases significantly. Not just to the individuals.
Yeah.
And it's the institution of the country we're dealing with.
I'm out of time.
I take the question. It's it's a valuable comment. And the Beryl man, I said we have to apply what we now have in policy stringently.
Excellent.
And after that, we have to look at what gaps may exist and how we can do it while preserving our, what I'd call open democratic approach.
Hear you on that. That's all the time I have, Dr. Chang. Thank you for taking time this evening to speak with me. I really appreciate it. That's Dr. Horace Chang, the Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of National Security. Do I take the break now and come back? Oh, no, we're trying to make another connection because in Western Hanover, there is disquiet among some constituents about the performance of the Member of Parliament, the Jamaica Labour Party's Tamika Davis. Some people believe that she has been missing in action, especially as they contend with the misery of not having power for several days now, perhaps 12 days and counting, since Hurricane Beryl struck Jamaica. No water, no electricity, and services broken down. So some are complaining that the MP is not making the representation required. On social media, there's been a lively banter between those who are saying the MP is not fit for purpose and those who are saying leave the woman alone. She's doing her best. She's visible in the constituency and she just give her a break because she's trying her best. We've reached out to the MP and we found her. Member of Parliament, good evening. How are you?
I am very well, thank you. Good evening to you and all your viewers.
Thank you very much. So some constituents in Western Hanover have asked the Prime Minister to recall you. Of course, that's not in his gift, but we understand the sentiment of what they're saying. They say you are not helping them in this hour of need. Other people are defending your stewardship. What's happening in the constituency? Why are so many people up in arms about the quality of your representation at this time?
Okay, I don't know that I'd agree with you when you say so many people. What I can tell you is that on Friday, July 12th, we were in the community of Blenheim, and we were at that time handing over one of the new houses under the social housing program, and the Prime Minister was present, as he always is for these events. And there was one lady who complained that her road had been blocked and she couldn't get access. And worse still, the blocked road prevented the water truck from getting to her. So I quite understand, as a matter of fact, the misery index that Miss Mary displayed, I understand. As you said earlier, I mean, we've just come through the Hurricane Beryl, and it was 10 days, you say, and counting.
Yes.
There is no electricity, no water, the roads are blocked. So the misery index is high. And so I quite understand the frustration you would have heard from Miss Mary. But the truth is that I have been on the ground, and Blenheim is a community that has seen a lot of me. In fact, one of the first roads I fixed as a member of Parliament was in that very community. And again, on the day that Miss Mary was complaining, I was handing over a house to a 62-year-old and an 85-year-old member of the said community. So clearly, what you saw and heard was the sheer frustration. And as a matter of fact, not just that community, a lot of communities in Hanover and the wider parish, I mean, Eastern Hanover, as a matter of fact, the entire Jamaica, this is what is happening. And we quite understand. I've been watching the updates from JPS. I have direct dialogue with our Minister Vaz. And so I impress upon him what is happening here. and I get the updates. I know that they're working. The difficulty, though, is in that many of the communities, the power lines are down.
Yes.
So most of the poles have actually broken into. So it will take some time. But we are heartened by the fact that we are seeing the trucks now.
Yes.
And given the state that you're in and what you're experiencing, it is not very comforting to hear that work has been done and it will get to you soon because you want it immediately.
So I'm running out of time. I caught you at the tail end of the show. So it's not true that you are MIA. It's not true that the quality of your representation is wanting. What is true, according to you, is that you are working consistently and that the people are seeing you. That's what you're saying.
That is true. And in fact, if I could close with this, when I went to the community, it's an off-road of De La Vega, and I saw Miss Mary herself. And what she did say was that, yes, the roads are blocked, and I've sent your producer the footage of that, showing that the roads have in fact been cleared. And there is really very little concern, I would say, about my stewardship. I think for the most part, persons can attest to the fact they have seen me working, and this comes from both sides. I will hear a PNP supporter say, well, yes, MP, I will not vote for you, or did not, but I certainly see what you're doing. And those moments are those that continue to impress upon me and encourage me to continue. So I don't think you ought to be troubled by that at all.
News, sports, and business content at CVM TV News. Anytime, anywhere. Subscribe now to CVM TV News to see it happen.
Start saving for your golden years with a Sagicor Lifestyle Approved Retirement Scheme. The time by Sagicor Life is
7 o'clock.
Coming up in the news at 7, JTA preps for legal battle. Centuries-old schools ravaged by Beryl and shopkeeper shot dead at establishment.
Also in the news, Kingsley Cooper laid to rest. In the business report, scores of new chicken farmers in Clarendon. And in sports, Argentina secures 16th Copa America title. From Kingston, Jamaica, this is CVM News at 7. I'm Stephen McHugh.
And I'm Curlin Brown. It's Monday, July 15, 2024. Thanks so much for joining us. The Jamaica Teachers Association, the JTA, is bracing for a significant legal challenge from its former leader.
The stakes are high and the implications could affect thousands of teachers across the country. Ramon Gordon has more on the brewing controversy.
The Jamaica Teachers Association, JTA, is preparing to mount a defense against a lawsuit filed against it by its former president, Lasanja Harrison. Speaking with the CVM TV News on Monday, current JTA President Leighton Johnson confirmed the teachers' union has retained legal counsel and is preparing for a more formal response to the claim.
Were you at all surprised by the suit? If you've not...
Listen, I will make a comment as soon as I'm in a position to do so.
In a bombshell report on Sunday, it was revealed that Harrison is seeking to invalidate a 2023 virtual special conference vote, where 629 delegates voted to accept the government's wage offer, while 147 rejected it. Harrison, a vocal critic of the deal, contends the vote violated the JTA's constitution, which requires in-person votes at such conferences. CVM TV News interviewed her attorney Hugh Waldman on Monday.
It is not, no, she has raised the point. She raised the point long ago, and alert the General Secretary. Okay?
And that was back in March 2023, right?
Yeah.
So why wait until now to bring the suit?
Well, that is, she said that she has been waiting on them to rectify because they could have rectified it.
If upheld by the Supreme Court, the recent increase to teacher salaries may be reversed, prompting a restart of negotiations. CVM TV News attempted to reach the Finance Minister for comment up to news time to better understand the possible implications of the case. However, he could not be reached. The outcome could have far-reaching effects not only for the approximately 20,000 JTA members, but for all public sector educators currently benefiting from increases. The current JTA president at an event in May promised continued advocacy for better teacher wages. We checked in with him again ahead of news time.
Are you able to give us any updates at this time on the matter we discussed earlier?
No updates at this time.
Ramon Gordon for CVM News.
Security expert and criminologist Dr. Jason Mackay is urging Jamaicans to use the recent assassination attempt on former U.S. President Donald Trump as a lesson in security and politics. Let's get more from Nika Lewis.
Saturday afternoon, that former U.S. President Donald Trump was injured after several shots rang out at a rally in Pennsylvania. The suspect was soon after shot dead by Secret Service agents using sniper rifles. The drama began there, but appeared only the beginning for nations looking on at the assassination attempt. So were there lessons? Security expert Dr. Jason Mackay shares his takeaways.
Don't take anything for granted, especially if you're controversial and you generate hate or anything like that. Because if you're that type of leader, then it's very likely that more persons will come after you. So, as it relates to Jamaica, we don't have that type of culture where we're trying to kill our leadership. But we have had incidents. We had the situation many years ago in Spanish Town where they fired on a stage where my commander was. It was caught on video where DK Duncan on lying down with his gun in his hand and so on. There was an incident where Hugh Lawson Shearer was shot with a spear gun. So there have been attacks on candidates. There, of course, has been the murder of Roy McGann while on a campaign.
Dr. Mackay also expressed disappointment in the much-touted Secret Service agents who were on hand to protect Mr. Trump.
With a detail as well trained and as experienced as the U.S. Secret Service, I'm a bit disappointed that somebody would be able to get in proximity to take a shot at the former president. As well as when I look on the system they're using to body block him, it didn't look particularly defensive because if the camera can make him out, that means a bullet can find him, a lens can find him, a gun can find him. So I was particularly impressed. It's supposed to be one of the greatest agencies in the world, but they have consistently failed. They failed with Kennedy, both brothers. They failed with Reagan.
And while he notes Jamaica's political climate is not as assassination inclined, with a recent attempt at burning the Parliament building, the expert explains a plan should still be in place locally.
I don't think we use screens in Jamaica at all, and I don't think we need them. But I think we should at least have them in the event that the political climate does change coming up to an election, and then we have to go and find. Actually, we should have in stock ballistic screens that we can put in front of our candidates. The major political figures like the Minister of National Security and the Prime Minister should drive around in ballistic vehicles. But I think that should be a standard, because I think particularly the Minister of National Security, is in a situation where he's harming many criminals. His policies drive down crime.
Nika Lewis, CVM News.
A man is dead and an investigation ongoing following a gun attack in Kingston this afternoon. The incident unfolded around 1:30 in the vicinity of Walton Park Road. Dead is 30-year-old Roshane Bromfield, a shopkeeper from Kingston. He was reportedly shot inside a wholesale, sending shockwaves through the community.
Them break my heart. Oh, Russian and his oh God, Russian and deserve this. Russian break my family. They break my family. They break my family. They break my family. Oh God.
The Prime Minister recently announced plans to make Negril the newest municipality. He, however, has no intention to stop there, having recently announced another plan to bring more earnings to the township. Here's the latest from Courtney Lewis.
tourism boom in Negril has resulted in expanding communities and new business opportunities. But Prime Minister Andrew Holness is urging municipal authorities to put more focus on urban planning. In order to achieve that, Mr. Holness suggested that changes be made.
We need to organize the town centre. We need to actually build a town centre. So we have asked FCJ, that is the Factories Corporation of Jamaica, which is doing exactly what I'm proposing for Negril, where we've actually started that. I don't know how many of you have had the opportunity to go in the eastern end of the island and see what we have done in St. Thomas, where we are building a new urban centre on 25 acres of land. It's fantastic.
The Prime Minister alluded to other government projects in the eastern part of the island, adding that a similar development would take place in Lucy and surrounding areas. He says the exponential growth of communities should not be seen as a hindrance to development, but rather an opportunity.
Whenever the tourism industry is growing, you're going to find communities growing along with it, because you need those communities to provide the workers. But more than that, it is the communities that provide the feel, the ambience, the culture, because it's the people that create all of that. So we can't look at the towns, the communities that have emerged, the informal communities, as a problem, right? They are a part of the product, and what we need to figure out is how to improve their conditions, how to structure them properly, because if we did that, Ed, the product would improve dramatically.
This urban development is one of the objectives Holness revealed for the parish, the others being reinvention of road infrastructure, new municipal arrangements as mentioned previously by CVM TV News, and the regularization of communities.
We can't force people into change, and in fact what we really want to do is to get people to voluntarily comply with change, but we have to show them what the vision is. People have to be able to buy into the vision. So I'm putting everyone on notice that we are going to start an intensive program of discussing what is the future of my Negril.
Courtney Lewis for CVM News.
And numerous institutions were affected when Hurricane Beryl swept through the region. Schools were among the hardest hit, some of which are now faced with the urgent need for recovery. Britannia Witter reports.
It's been over a week since the island was struck by Hurricane Beryl. Homes were left roofless, trees uprooted, and some schools left to turn a new page. One such institution is the 286-year-old Manning School in Westmoreland, Jamaica. During a tour with our news team, Principal Steve Gordon reported the damage as extensive.
So in all, we will have 12 classrooms being affected, right? So if we are out, the entire fourth form cohort would have existed on this block, and they are part of the third form classes that will be used in the Mumbai block. So we're talking about students being affected of over 320 for the fourth form, plus 200 for the third form.
He explained that the students did not respond well to online learning during the COVID-19 pandemic, adding he hopes to repair the buildings before the start of the new school year.
We would have re-engaged into the space and realized that socially they almost can't function. So we have to reculture them, and it took some time, and some of them would have suffered the consequence of not getting the amount of subject that they would have wanted to acquire. And not necessarily the number, but in terms of also the quality. We are a school that is used to the high passes, the high pass rates, and we are afraid that this might happen again if we don't address the immediate need of fixing these classrooms.
In St. Elizabeth, the centuries-old all-boys school, Monroe College, was also affected by the hurricane's passage, as 31 of 35 buildings on the school's compound were damaged. Reports are that the school, dubbed the City on the Hill, will require up to $310 million in repairs before things get back to normal. Britannia Witter, CVM News.
We take a break. More news when we return.
Sure we can. I never see a boil up party like you.
Hey son, you good?
Know that I'm starving. Can we get some juicy patties?
Celebrating over 40 years of everyday moments.
We believe in golden years that shine bright, and nutrition plays a vital role in keeping our seniors healthy and happy. Studies have shown that in Jamaica, nearly 35% of men 65 years and older and 10% of women the same age are underweight. As we journey through life, nutrition remains essential. But as we age, it becomes even more crucial. Many older adults face nutritional challenges, and inadequate nutrition with the management of non-communicable diseases contributes to or worsens their well-being.
If older persons are losing weight rapidly or have loss of appetite or difficulty swallowing, please take them to a doctor or the nearest health center. Let's help our seniors stay happy and healthy with good nutrition.
This is a message from the Ministry of Health and Wellness.
Welcome back. The Hanover Municipal Corporation is reporting over 340 structures were damaged by Hurricane Beryl. The municipal's disaster preparedness coordinator gave a post-hurricane report at the corporation's monthly meeting, about which we now hear from Adrian Williams.
During hurricanes and other natural disasters, people whose homes are threatened or affected typically seek refuge at emergency shelters, but at times, even these shelters fall victim to the forces of nature. In the recent monthly staging of the Hanover Municipal Corporation meeting, Disaster Preparedness Coordinator Anissa Spence reported little over 339 houses, along with 4 shelters, have been damaged by Hurricane Beryl.
We have started our initial damage assessment, where we were able to identify the following. Please note the numbers provided to you are currently ongoing within the particular spaces. So for example, for the Sandy Bay division, we have a total now of 85 houses that would have been damaged within the space. The Hopewell division, we have a total of 54 houses. Chester Castle, 50 houses. Cardwell, 55 houses damaged. Riverside division, we have a total of 50 houses, and the Green Island division, we have 45 houses that would have been affected throughout the state.
With the municipality's damage assessments still underway, communities were impacted by fallen trees, downed power lines, and roofs being blown off building structures.
Currently, I can tell you that many of our communities are still without electricity within the space. In some areas, the roadways have still not been completely cleared. I must thank some of the community members in the particular spaces that came out right after the hurricane to start getting the spaces cleared, so that even if it's not completely clear, there was single lane accessibility for vehicles in and out of the spaces.
However, the municipality has commenced its efforts to return the parish to normality.
We have started a 3-step plan as relates to some of the things that we need to improve in the parish space if it's a case that we should be affected once more, such as our resource allocation, our community support, just an increase on that because we have persons who are willing within the spaces to help their various areas, as well as communication. Because one of the problems that we have actually faced during this hurricane is that most of our communications went down.
Spence appeals to anyone who can assist in the various areas to get on board as they work towards getting the parish up and running again. Adrian Williams for CVM News.
And the Western National Solid Waste Management Authority says that the agency will undertake a cleanup campaign in Hanover on Wednesday. This campaign follows earnest appeals from councillors to clean areas with excessive garbage since Hurricane Beryl. More in this report from Courtney Lewis.
Hanover residents are to expect cleaner roadways and better garbage disposal in coming weeks. This as the Western National Solid Waste Management Authority seeks to take on garbage cleanup activities in the parish. The initiative comes after garbage collectors reported being unable to access certain areas due to excessive debris following Hurricane Beryl.
We have a number of challenges. Some areas we're unable to access because the areas might be limited to single lane. It might be single lane for cars and other vehicles, but surely not for trucks. But we're trying our best. New trucks are here. They have been working. One new truck has been assigned to our parish. But interestingly, next week Wednesday, which is the 17th of July, we will have 6 new compactors deployed to Hanover with the aim to clean up as many communities as we can.
Public Cleansing Inspector Rosemary Erskine made the announcement regarding the one-day project during a meeting of the municipal corporation. She also made commitments to relocate holding areas with the combined efforts of the councillors and the NSWMA.
We are going to be moving those holding areas, especially where the residents decide that the whole tree must come out. And we have a number. We have the entrance to T Grant. We have our famous Brisset. Right. So we have some spots. We have identified pictures. We have submitted reports. So we are going to be working on those areas in the next coming days.
Meanwhile, Erskine thanked councillors for their efforts thus far, maintaining more support for the initiative will come from the Kingston arm of the agency. Courtney Lewis for CVM News.
A service of thanksgiving was held in Kingston on Monday for the Jamaican standout in the cultural and creative industries who died mid-June at a Miami hospital. Now, while the Kingston College past student has been credited for shaping dreams as an influencer, he also had the pulse of his family.
Thing called life.
Although dim the flame of the showman, the business mogul, the lawyer, the pioneer, the fashion icon, the father, brother, friend, born to a merchant tailor with London experience and the teacher with an entrepreneurial wit. The words spoken in remembrance of Kingsley George Lawton Cooper on July 15, be it poetic or accompanied by rhythmic sounds, captured his heartbeat, the pulse that illuminated throughout the Caribbean a universal flare. From all walks of life they came, politicians included, at the start of the work week, pausing to pay their respects to the man likened to a mighty tree, whose creative talent impacted lives from small communities on the island, evidenced in the many accolades and awards, and those who will carry on his legacy, including the daughter whom he reminded, as a black woman in business, you have to be tough to push the boundaries and be hands-on.
Dad would say to me at times, Safio, I won't be around forever, you know. So you better know exactly what to do. I would then respond by saying, Dad, cool man, why you have to say these morbid things? Universe, delete.
His sister, Dr. Caroline Cooper, said she wished she could delete the fact he did not take on her challenge to write about the history of Pulse. Sketches he created along the journey came to life through the one Caroline described as Kingsley's most far-reaching find, a bright and beautiful high school student at Alpha Academy, Romay Gordon, a life-changing discovery.
Kingsley and I have been blessed with a remarkable gift in Cole. We got 11 solid years of sharing this unbreakable love trinity. You made your boy feel love and joy in ways only you knew how. Those powerfully loving moments will stay with us always, and we will live with your spirit in the castle of love built for you, Cole and I.
Castle of love, just for two.
And we will continue with CVM News at 7 after this with our business segment. Stay with us, please.
deserve it. Yeah, next level, awesome, that's how we serve it. Mama, menu done your way. To taste rules every day. Flame grilled goodness, you deserve it. Great taste, well done. More flavor, fresh fun. Burger King, best tasting burger under the sun.
John Mark!
Celine, where you going? We can't say we're a friend now. Celine. We have to take on the road.
Yeah, man, we have to take out the same way. All right, Lord, thank you so much for this day.
Me, I do the work. Yeah. And the people them accept it. Clarendon, Mandeville. But now we get to go into the inner city of Kingston.
I can't wait to learn more as we go across Jamaica into different churches to understand what they do.
Good evening and welcome to the Business Report. I'm Andrew Laidley. A new cohort of agripreneurs are surfacing in Clarendon with the JWN Foundation spearheading the revolution. The core business is chicken rearing. For many residents in the Gimme Me Bit community in Clarendon, that's not just the sound of baby